between regulation and technology. And it seems like Opportunity Zone program is one of the programs that actually allows for creation of that bridge, for creation of better technology. And as I was evaluating the state of OZ technology, I realized that it's not enough. You see, we hear a lot about fintech companies improving or helping make banking more accessible to people, but you almost always, you do not hear about innovation in real estate, or more specifically in opportunity zones. So that's enough. But there are a few examples that I have, and I wanted to talk about them. So or accelerators are located in opportunity zones. For example, one that I found is called the Pearl Fund OZ Incubator, and I think it's one of the pioneers, I would say, of OZ program, and it's in New York and Pennsylvania. So you can check that one if you're representing an incubator or accelerator, for example. Now, there are certain tools to explore how OZ tracts relate to other federal programs and designations. OZ program is just one of the programs that is available. So when an investor makes an evaluation, or when community leaders come together to see what they can offer and what they can take advantage of, they can examine all the benefits and all the programs that are available for a specific tract. And you can look at enterprisecommunity.org. I found their Opportunity Zones Explorer tool helpful. So you can, again, punch in the address, and it will show you what programs are available for that area. Now, there are a few marketplace solutions for connecting investors and developers. One of them is called ASD, Any Size Deals. This one has seminars and has summits a couple of times a year, when it facilitates bringing together investors and developers and other interested parties. So you can check that out for yourself. There are platforms, technology platforms, that analyze opportunity zones data. One interesting that I found is called Skyline AI, and that company uses artificial intelligence to analyze alternative sources of data. They look into street views, cellular data, media posts, and they can evaluate and, I guess, give a good projection of how that area is going to develop. These new trends, like everyone is on Twitter, everyone is on Facebook, and we can see who checks in where and what kind of posts people make. So that can also facilitate making a more wholesome picture for that opportunity zone, for that area that investors are evaluating. Okay, let's move to the next slide. At East Coast Capital Holdings, we have this product called Timothy, and the product is specifically developed to address the needs of communities and the needs of houses of worship, and make these areas where houses of worship are located accessible to investors, and facilitate revitalization of these areas. Historically, the attendance of houses of worship is declining in this country, and so that leaves that leaves us with a lot of buildings and a lot of space that is not being used. Sometimes houses of worship just close. For example, 5,000 houses of worship were closing on average between 2006 and 2012. So last financial crisis, it was this number, 5,000. Let's see what is going to be now. Of course, the virus sharpened the needs of houses of worship. You know, there are no gatherings, people cannot hug each other. And lots of representatives of these houses of worship are not very sophisticated. So for them, for example, to even apply for some relief like IDLE or PPP is very problematic. Another part is that even if there was a relief, the relief funds went to some industries and maybe didn't cover all the industries. But the main point is that this crisis sharpens the needs of houses of worship. And of course, what follows is that they are unable to meet their financial obligations. And when we look at them, we don't have as a house of worship separated from its community. It is located in a community. They're usually child centers or community centers in that area. So when something like that is affected, that brings negative the community. So we thought that the mission of that house of worship is at risk. Communities that surround them are at risk. Lenders that lend, that have loans with these houses of worship are at risk because they continue holding underperforming mortgages, for example, and goals of the opportunity zones really, because if you think about 30% of houses of worship being in the opportunity zones, if we don't address that part, maybe the opportunity zones will not be as effective. Next slide, please. So Timothy is developed with the Opportunity Zones program and the CARES Act in mind. It is a tech-enabled solution for revitalization of distressed communities, and it brings together houses of worship, lenders, opportunity zone investors, and developers. Also, we facilitate work with local nonprofit organizations. As I said before, I think this is very important to have local advocate and local organization that knows the needs of the opportunity zone community. And we intend to facilitate creation of community-friendly revenue-generating businesses through creating opportunity zone fund that is going to invest in this opportunity zone that is connected with the house of worship. So the main point is that houses of worship are surround their communities, are strengthened, modernized, and of course communities are resilient for future disasters and pandemics. And we think that as the world is changing, we need to be changing too, and think how we can address issues that that pertain to different organizations and different players. And in our case, we chose to concentrate and address the needs of declining houses of worship so that we can continue the legacy and we can strengthen the communities and build community-friendly businesses around it. Next slide, please. Okay, here I reference a couple of materials that I used in the presentation, so you can I recommend going to Novogradach. It's novoco.com. Opportunity zone tracking what is going on and the latest regulations. Okay. Next slide. Thank you for your attention. I hope you learned something today that you didn't know. I understand it is a lot of information, and for some of you it is probably a lot of questions, and maybe not everything was addressed, not maybe, for sure. So let's see what questions you have, and let's brainstorm together.